Good hello and welcome to another Wargaming Whenever, the oh so fantastic Wargaming show where we basically just talk shit for an hour or so about Wargaming and see where the conversation goes. And we do it, whenever we like. So, could be 3 this week, could be 0. It's at least 1 because here we are. Tonight,
Currently, it is now.
it's right now. Uh, So tonight we have Callum and myself, just us. I know, so boring, but we have some proper bullshit.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
I think the best place to start is let's start with those simulations you asked me to run.
Alrighty.
I want to know what the heck was I shooting?
Okay, so I've made... So for future reference, this is what happens when, instead of making completely and utterly ridiculous, stupid lists, this is what happens when somebody tells me to have a look at synergies.
Oh god.
Yes, that was the mistake, because I can still be completely and utterly ridiculous with this thing. So I've basically taken Iron Warriors as a trait on a pack of 10 Terminators.
It's on
Now,
I thought it was on Obliterators.
no, this is on Terminator. If it was on Obliterators, that would be fantastic.
That'd be even worse.
Oh, it would be horrible. Okay, so let's see. So the Iron Warriors trait instantly gives you no rerolls for wounds. Always helpful. Of course,
Very helpful.
they're a Terminator. So they've got the keywords for AOC, Armor of Contempt, which is always handy. I've made them Slanesh for a very specific reason. And then they're being followed around with 2 Dark Apostles and a Master of Possession.
Right.
Which seems like a lot, and it is. It's an investment. It's a huge, huge investment.
That's like what, 600-700 points?
Yeah, about that. Look,
that
makes
me feel a little bit better for what I shot into it.
Yeah, like in this list, there's 2 units of 3 Obliterators, 3 5-man units of Legionaries, this 1 pack of Terminators, the 2 Apostles, the Master of Possession, and a Rhino, and that's it. It's not a good list, but to the last is a hilarious secondary to take for them.
Yes.
So Iron Warriors. So remember, you got to remember all this stuff. So there's no rerolls for wounds. I've given them the Trophies of the Long War, Black Room of Damnation, so they're also -1 to wound.
Which was a right pain in the butt.
Then you slack with a Dark Apostle. 1 you're giving Bastium, so it's a 6-inch Aura of Obsec, just to make it worse.
Yep.
1 has can't pronounce. I'm shocking at pronunciations. Illusionary Supplication, which is a 1 to 3 to hit fail, and no rerolls for the hits. The second one's got Benediction of Darkness, which is an always in light cover aura of 6 inches. So when you start talking range stuff with Armor of Contempt, it just makes it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Master of Possession has the Liber or Liber Hereticus, which is to cast an extra power, but it gets an extra 6 inches of range. I've also made him Slanesh. So with that, he is giving Delightful Agonies, which is your 5+ Feel No Pain.
I was wondering where that came from.
So it's 2+ save, 5+ involve, 5+ Feel No pain. But then the juicy parts, we start to come to Mutated Invigoration, which is +1 to toughness or strength. So of course you're going toughness. And Pact of Flesh, because they're cool.
Yep.
So you're healing and/or returning a model as well.
That's gross.
These things they're not going anywhere. And there's 10 of them.
No, they're definitely not going anywhere. Oops, spoiler alert. Um, wait till you see what I shot into them. Look, I think the only real solution is to hit them in close combat and bypass a bunch of that.
Oh, and then I'm also taking a Dower Duties, which is a 2 CP strat for -1 damage.
Yeah, I know exactly what I have to get for my Iron Warriors. It will piss Reese off to no end.
It's just not taking cover away from him.
Oh, look, just the taking cover away from him upset him, but we will get to that later. Let's focus on this for now.
We digress.
So I will do a screen share. I want
This
to.
will be good because I haven't seen it yet either. I just gave him a list of horrible, horrible stacking stats.
Yep. Hide that. People aren't going to be able to see that real easy. So just a second. I'll share the screen I'm screen capturing. Not that. I'll share this screen and I'll just put the I'll put it on this screen itself. So let me know when you can see that.
I can.
So for those that don't know, this is what happens when I get given free reign and way too many hours to play within Excel. Basically, what this spreadsheet does is you enter a whole bunch of numbers and it spits out some fancy graphs. And in the back here is table after table after table of just the most disgusting formulas you've ever seen, like this one. Have you ever seen a more beautiful formula? I think I've actually look. I've got it.
I've never actually seen the back end of this.
I've got it on a notepad from when I was actually trying to make it, so it was in a format that was easy to read. This is that formula in an easy to read format.
Dear God.
And that's just to work out how many attacks you get. The other formulas are all simpler because it's just roll the dice, compare it to this number. And then at the end, it goes and tabulates it with a whole bunch of percentages. Basically, this, and then also it goes and simulates it approximately 10,000 times so that I have a nice data set to graph. Basically, this spreadsheet rolls approximately, I think it's up to 9 million dice now.
Good Lord. So something that's breaking NASA pre-80s.
Yes. Excel is not the correct application for this. Don't care. Did it anyway. But anyway, that's the last thing I simulated there. I will go and look. Let's start with trying volume of shots to take these things down. So here's one I captured earlier. This is Rubric Marines with the Wrath of the Wrong stratagem thrown in.
Yep.
Which now I realize I probably could have buffed it up further so that it was at least wounding on the 4. So basically, this is 10 Warp Flamers. So we got 10 D6 attacks. And I was like, look, I'm just going to bypass your making it harder for me to hit straight away.
Yeah.
So I went straight to, look, they auto hit on a 1. No rerolls, obviously. No auto hits, auto wounds or anything. Only strength 4. I could have bumped it up to strength 5 by throwing a couple of other things on, but I don't think it would have made that much difference because as it is, you on average get 11 wounds.
Yeah, they were, and they're -1 to wound to start with.
So AOC brings the AP down to -1, and because you're in light cover, you get a 1+ save. And then it's damage 1. I do have the -1 damage in there, but because it's already damage 1, that won't do anything in this equation. Yep. And I have not programmed a Feel No Pain into this because I cannot get my head around the formula needed to do that at this point.
Yep.
It's easy to figure out right up until you have more than 1 damage.
Yes.
So basically, from those 10 flamers, it deals 2 damage.
Now, healing D3, I think we're good.
I think you're fine. So look, that was the Rubric Marines. Kind of disappointed. So I thought, look, we'll go to one of my old favorites, the Locust Heavy Destroyer.
Yes.
1 through 3 auto failed, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yep. So 4+ to hit, 3 of them in the unit, so they get 3 attacks. Strength, normally strength 10, but because I can't wound on 3s, goes to strength 9 just to make the maths easy. AP 4, AOC reduces it to 3. You're still in cover, so you get 1+ save. 3d3 damage, resulting in, on average, 0 damage, because there is a greater than 50% chance that any that actually wound you will save. However, the mean of it is 2.492 damage.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's disappointing.
And again, with a feel no pain to go on top of that, and then healing again, we're still good.
That being said, the mean and median don't tell the whole story here.
No.
Because they're artificially low due to that this is not a normally distributed curve, because you've got normal distribution here, but then you've got a huge spike up to nearly up to 60% on the 0.
Yep.
So if you fail any of those, you're on average taking 5 wounds.
Okay.
So you're losing 1 because that's from 1 shot. So I was like, that's not terrible.
To then return it in my next psychic phase.
Look, it's also the cheapest way of dealing with these things that I came up with.
That's fair.
So I thought, let's go Iron Warriors Chaos Vindicator. That sounds fun.
Cool.
So 3d3 shots. Beautiful. Still hitting on 4s because of bullshit. Can't wound you on 3s or 2s. Actually, no. It was -1 to wound, wasn't it? So I reduced the strength to be in the next bracket down. So it's strength 9 rather than... So it's wounding on 3s rather than 2s. Maybe shouldn't... I think I might have put that in wrong. Because... Right, I read it off of Wahapedia, that's the problem. This is going to be slightly wrong, because that should be -3, not -2. And being an Iron Warriors Chaos Vindicator, I'm ignoring your cover.
Yes.
So your save is reduced to 2, and then d6 damage. This is what the lovely graph looks like. Still a 40% chance of nothing.
Look, it was built to be absolutely disgusting.
But if it does go through, the odds of 1 through 5 is all around the sort of 10% mark. Actually, I want to go and redo this real quick, because I want to see what happens if I fix that armor save. D3 plus 3, still hitting on 4s, strength 9, T5, -3, 2 up, D6. Okay, that is better. So when I correct for the armor save, it reduces the odds of doing nothing to 30% rather than 40%. So that is technically an improvement.
10%'s a pretty decent scratch, no matter what you're looking at.
Yeah, and if you have a look at it down here as well, it's also lifted the curve up here as well. So it's just flattened the whole curve. This is still around the 10% mark, but up here in the getting more hits through and scoring high on your damage rolls, that whole curve is lifted up a little bit. So that's interesting. Still not good enough. So I thought, let's bring out the really big guns. And what is bigger than a Bellicosa volcano cannon?
To be fair, deserved.
So that's 3d3 shots, still hitting on 4s. Even though it's strength 20, it goes back down to 9 because -1 to wound.
The only thing that I'll say with that is there should be 9 shots because it's a unit of 10 with blast. Is it blast?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Bellicose. Yeah, it is blast. So let's go fix that. Let's fix this one up. You didn't mention that it was a unit of 10.
My apologies.
I
Of course it
assumed,
was going to be, though.
I'd assumed it was obliterators when I saw the T5. So that's actually straight up 9 shots.
Oh, if you could do this with obliterators, it's only missing a couple of keywords to do it. So fingers crossed for the FAQ. This would be absolutely disgusting on them.
Okay, I think I've got that in there correctly because it's normally AP5, so AP4 now. You've still got your 1-up save and your 5-up shrug, 5-up invuln.
Yeah.
Damage 12.
Oh.
So this gives us this lovely graph where we've got a bump at 11, a bump at 22, a bump at 33, a bump at 44, and a bump at 55 wounds. So, I mean, there's still a 20% chance that firing this will kill 3 of them.
Which, look, that's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
But
to be
that
fair,
still means there's 7 left to deal with.
And that's a weapon taken on a 5,500 point unit.
And we still haven't brought into accounts of what the actual hits are, as far as ignoring, 1 damage from each. Not that that makes a huge deal. But then feel no pains.
Yeah, the feel no pains. Look, at 12 damage, well, 11 damage, I don't think your feel no pains are going to help you much. Given the sheer
I don't know.
amount
In
of
real
waste,
life, I roll hot.
You're talking. What's your feel no pain? 5 plus?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're talking about you'd need to save it from 11 damage going through. You'd need to save at least 9 of those to live.
Done.
It's not happening. Look, final thing. On the same Warlord Titan, Mori Quake Cannon. Which this is also wrong because it should be a unit of 10. So let's go fix that and see what that does. So what would 3d6 shots, that should go to the max, which would be 12, 18 shots. And its profile is basically the same, except this goes to 6 damage instead of 12. There you go. On average, you're taking 20 wounds.
That's not bad. There's 30 wounds in the unit.
That doesn't tell the whole story though, because that's spread from across 4 failed saves. So really, you're losing 4 guys, and they're taking 5 damage.
Yeah.
They're taking 5 wounds apiece. I mean, with a 5-up shrug, you could save 1, but I'd say most likely you're losing 4 guys.
And look, I would definitely I'd try and batch roll if the opponent was not Zach and made me slow roll everything to make sure it's not, this one's dead. This one's now dead. But yeah, no, it's plausible.
Look, that is a gross combination, and I hate you so much for coming up with it.
This is honestly what happens. So for everybody at home, Zach is always on my case because I just build. The fun for me in Warhammer, especially since match 9th is getting a little I just build ridiculous lists. Things that are specifically anti-meta and, as far as Zach's concerned, anti-fun.
Look,
because they're just stupid, like 406 shots in a shuriken list with Hail of Doom.
That's so much fun, though. I mean, you tried it against me and failed miserably.
Actually, to be fair, no, that wasn't the full. I haven't actually taken the complete full list yet. Because I do kind of agree with Zach. It would be a little bit boring because it's just wiping things away. Very, very few things. The sheer weight of dice. They're going away. Like, to be fair, my so the last list that I built for CanCon, because I was going to go and play a tournament, like a proper tournament.
Fair.
It only had 203 shurikens in it because I had clowns and, I actually had to cover bases to kind of win in a tournament. I had to be prepared for a few other things instead of just, and I didn't want to paint like 120 guardians.
Fair enough.
But and even that, that knocked over Custodes in by turn 2. It's knocked over Tyranids, new Tyranids twice by turn 2. It's just horrible. Too many.
Look, it's literally a case of that's a lot of bullets.
Yeah, and it is honestly 406.
Mm.
Like that is not a little number. Like I went to see what I could do, and actually, I played it out because yes, of course, I made a 2,500 point list, 5,000 point list, 10,000 point list to see what kind of shots I could get out of it. For points to shots, 2,000 is the absolute perfect size.
Yeah.
After that, I wasn't actually like. You think maybe in 4,000 to 5,000 point lists I'd be doubling? No, it got to like 700 shots.
Jeez.
And that's
just insanity.
ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Lee good.
Look, I think you need to get all the models and bring it up one time.
Do you want me to go and buy 120?
Yes, I
120
expect you to go and
Guardians.
buy 120 Guardians. That
But
is
to buy
exactly what I'd
120
expect.
Guardians at GW prices, it's like $600 in Guardians.
Look, 3D printer go brr.
It really should. Wait, how many is actually in a box? No, that's even more. Box of Guardians, I think they've only got 10 in them.
Let's do the maths. I will go to the James Workshop website. James, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Storm Guardians.
Yep, same box.
Yeah, you get 10 in the little platform thing.
And how much is the box? Like nearly 198?
It was like 32.5 quid. Switching to Australian micro pesos, it's 90.
And then buffed up because we're in Australia and they decide just to tack on a little extra. I think they are $98 a box.
No, it says 90.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, I switched delivering to from the UK to Australia. It says 90. $90 for
It's
the box.
$1,080.
Look,
it's $1,090. That's
pre-COVID, you could buy, a workable, reliable car for less than that.
oh, car price is ridiculous now.
Oh, they're
Like gone are the days of the $500 bomb.
Look, I miss my $500 bomb.
To be fair, I do too. I had a 92 Daihatsu Charade. It literally ran like you could put $15 in it. To be fair, petrol was nowhere near the price it is now. But you could put $15 in this thing, and that would do all week. And we lived out of town. It was like half an hour to town and back.
Oh, fun. Gee, over $1,000 just for that. Look.
And that's not even the whole list. I've still got to then buy 9 boxes of what are they called now? Wind Riders.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, we're talking. What is it? There's 30. Yeah, there's 30 Avengers in the list. And they only come in 5 a box.
Yeah, and they're $55 for the box.
yeah.
So there's another $300.
Although I will say, it's kind of getting into typical army prices for 2,000 points. You start to expect somewhere around or just under $2,000, $1 a point.
No, I disagree.
Well,
I
for my
strongly disagree.
ridiculous bullshit list.
Look, my Iron Warriors list, which I took against Reese on yesterday.
On yesterday?
So, 1 Warpsmith.
Yes.
1, what was it? 1 Demon Prince. 15
With
Legion.
Nurgle, yep.
Yep. 15 Legionaries. A Forge Fiend. 2 Vindicators. A Hellbrute. A Rhino. And 8 Khorne Berserkers, and 10 Chaos Terminators. Let's just go through and work this out. So the Demon Prince I didn't have to pay for because I managed to make work pay for it.
That's what it's kind of just what happens when you're employed. Yes, you get money for working.
No. This was I used my employer's like rewards program.
I was going to say the company credit card. Debbie's from HR is about to find her purchase at Games Workshop.
No, not quite that hilarious. But used that to get Coles gift cards, swapped that, and then spent the grocery money on Warhammer, like you do. So Demon Prince really
fair.
didn't really cost me anything. The 2 Vindicators I got off of eBay for $10 a pop back when no one wanted them, as you do.
Yep.
The Terminators did the same sort of thing, although I think in total I spent like $40 on those for 10 old school lead cast Terminators.
The fun ones.
The only new stuff, and by new is not really new because I had got a Chaos Battle Force, like a 4th edition one,
Yep.
for free. Warpsmith was new in box, but that was a gift, so I didn't have to pay for it. As was the Forge Fiend, so that doesn't count either.
I'd like to point out, with this kind of reasoning, my list is instantly half the price because my checking account is a joint account with my wife, so she's paying for half.
Exactly. So in total I probably spent like maybe $250 on it.
Look, that's now, yeah. Look, I will give it to you. Like when we start talking real world, I've been playing for quite some time. I have a lot of old elves. I wouldn't really. I hate the old Wind Riders, and I've got like, I don't know, 16, 19, something stupid of them. But they're all the ones with the old cone KKK heads, and of course,
the fun ones.
Yeah, there's Sam Hain. So everything's red except for that bloody white helmet, which just makes it worse.
Fair.
But
yeah. Speaking of my Chaos Space Marines list.
Yes.
So I bit the bullet and I fall into Chaos. The Grey Knights will probably come out next weekend anyway. But I got.
You mean Grey Knights, the actual Grey Knights, or the Necrons that were supposed to be for this week?
No, that was just a hilarious troll. There is.
Yes, there was a beautiful bait and switch.
Look, Thursday I had to go and work in the office. So since I was in town, headed into the James Workshop store near where I work, super conveniently located. And I picked up the Chaos Marines Codex, the data cards, which I really like data cards just because I can go through and be like, okay, I plan to use this strat, this strat, this strat, and this strat, these psychic powers, and I can just lay them out on the bench in front of me when I'm playing. So I don't have to go, oh, do I have a strat for that? It's like, no, if I don't lay it out, I'm not planning to use it. So,
which is good because I remember a lot of shit from old books. So I was like, oh, I've got a strat for that. I can do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
I flicked through the current one. No, that was like 3 editions ago.
Yeah, I have that same problem.
Well, not quite 3 because strats.
So yeah, since I'd gone and done that, took a photo of the bag as I was leaving the store, and because I also got some paint and a couple of other things while I was in there, it looked like there was more than just a book in there, because there was a couple of other things that were not really relevant to the conversation. Took a photo, threw it in the group, and I was just playing super cagey with what it was. And then the next day I throw a list in the chat. What did I throw in that list? Void Dragon.
So far back.
I added the Void Dragon to the list.
Yep.
And didn't say anything, just left it there hanging. So people would then make assumptions. I never said that was what I was going to take.
And look, here's the thing that really did get me with that. So we all know the Void Dragon. He doesn't care for vehicles so much. Not a lot of vehicles in the guys that you were playing on the
No,
weekend.
given that I was fighting Nids, not a lot of vehicles.
They should have been like, oh, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
But no, nothing was mentioned.
Nothing was mentioned at all. So they didn't question it, which was their mistake. So come Saturday morning, guy I'm playing against rocks up. And I'm just like, you want to know what you're fighting? He's like, sure. Lift the lid off the box, holding all of my tanks. And oh, look, it was fantastic. So yeah, that game went brilliantly. We were playing Tempest of War, and yeah, got lots of secondaries scored. Basically, I just marched towards the center of the battlefield and just rolled my armored column forward and just started mowing down squids because they're nids. I
Which
reckon they
as it
look
should
more like
be.
squids than bugs. Can we stop calling them bugs? They are
Well,
squids.
yeah.
Especially those venom thropes. They're all
There's a lot more
tentacly.
tentacles.
They're very tentacly and slaneshy. So yeah, basically
Look,
the way
they're
that
a snake at best.
yes, basically the way that game ended up going was, like I said, I moved forward, blasted some shit. The Nids walked towards me, weren't very happy that I was completely ignoring all their cover because Iron Warriors.
Mm.
And the Demolisher Cannons did some work. Corn Berserkers. So Rhino full of Corn Berserkers drives up, turn 2, Corn Berserkers jump out, run at enemy, charge, and then got like 40 something attacks. Because they're like 5 attacks each base, and there was 8 of them. So yeah, 40
Yes.
attacks.
Yep. Good lord. All going at, what are they now? Strength 5.
Strength 6 because I charged.
Oh, of course.
Because they're Mark of Corn.
Mark of Corn.
So that into Nid Warriors, T5, that charge
Yep.
mattered. And yeah, just kind of chopped them up.
Well, Corn cares not.
Corn does not care. The one big mistake I made was that I had misunderstood how Fight First works because I've never had to use it this edition.
Yep.
And I thought it was simple as you get to fight first.
And there is a lot of arguments every time a Fight First comes up.
Yeah. And the conclusion we ended up coming to, because it is actually in the rulebook on rare rules with fights first versus fights last, or was in the rulebook on a Warhammer community post. It was one of the two.
Well, the
Or
one that we were
both.
looking from was from the community post, but it is in the rare rules.
Yeah, so it's in the rare rules section. So if you come up with a fights first argument, look at the rulebook.
If you have a question of the rules, look in the rule book.
I know, what wisdom. But the TLDR on that is that the charging unit, the person who charged will get to select one of the charging units first, and then if you have fight first and you were charged, then you can fight back.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately at that point I only had 2 Terminators left because they got
Because what did the Terminators go into?
a Swarm Lord. Look, to be fair,
any Swarm Lord.
They dropped in there to do one job, and that was to get rid of those damn venom thropes.
Yeah.
I just wanted them out of the way so that my Demolisher Cannons could do their work properly.
Like they are really good. Anything with thrope in the name in that book is just really good.
It is really good.
And then when you have a player like Reese who castles and deploys very, very well, it just makes it very difficult to kind of break through where you're actually getting to use everything that you had planned to use.
It's a case of I have to kill that unit because if I don't, I'm not doing anything else. So of
Yeah,
course I'm going to target them.
yeah, of course. Which is also actually one of the things of how the shuriken list came up was, okay, if I can't get through the castle, I am just going to take anything with obsec off the table. But the original idea is, okay, he can bring like 120 to 150 gaunts of some type in a 2,000 point list. How can I clear them in a turn?
Well, that's the thing. He doesn't bring gaunts now.
No, he's taunted us with a couple of gaunt lists, but
Look, I
always
would love
last
to
minute,
fight a
straight out.
gaunt list because I'm kind of. Look, to be fair, that matchup was really not in his favor because he
No,
took
no.
lots of stuff that was like expensive and high toughness,
Yep.
but I had strength 10 demolisher cannons.
He was also planning on getting +1 to his saves
Yes.
from the light cover, specifically being NIDS. Something that we actually spoke about the day before, because I was talking about Orion Warriors in the group, and he came up with what's a better trait. I said, well, like, getting that +1 in light cover is fantastic against 99% of matchups. Iron Warriors, it is probably going to be the worst thing you can take because you're never going to use it. You're never going to get to use it.
Yeah, because they just ignore benefits of cover outright.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
cover.
Well, light cover, but yeah, like how often, especially in like IRL guns at home with friends, are we going through and be like actually adhering to what the type is? Like if you've got a building, is it light? Is it dense? Is it heavy? Things just kind of get, I don't know about you guys, but we always used to in friendly games, we just make everything light cover. It makes it easy. Unless we have GW specific terrain, which we do, but
We've always gone with, or at least for this edition, referencing what rules are attached. Like where in the terrain section of the book, it's has listed different types of terrain like barricades,
yeah,
hills, ruins, buildings, forest, etc., and just go with whatever terrain traits are assigned on there.
yeah. But look, that's smart. It's just, I don't know. When I play friendly games, I care very, even tournament games, to be completely honest. I care very little about specifics and details. It's not my thing. Like this synergy list that I put together for the Terminators, I'll probably never play it. If I do, I'm going to forget half the shit. That's not how my brain operates. I am a lot better with. I was going to say tactics, but I'm not. Everything to me is cornate.
Corn
I
cares not.
I just run straight in and
Except for when you play corn.
except for when I play corn, then that is a completely balanced list, strategic and planned methodically and executed as it should be. Like a real player, which is strange.
Oh, look, speaking of corn, the corn berserk of all the units in my list that I took yesterday,
Yep.
there were two that I found were just perfect, and one of them was the corn berserkers. The other was the vindicator, just for
Look,
record.
I haven't played with the new berserkers since the White Dwarf came out.
They are savage.
Which, see, they don't look it on paper, and that's the thing. Like they look all right on paper, but like no double fights, no like the things that made them awesome in the
Look,
previous book.
I'm sure they will have double fight in World Eaters.
They should. If I will be very upset if they don't.
Almost certainly will. But even without the double fight, I mean, I think it was either 4 or 5 Nid warriors. Wiped them off the table without a second thought. And
When
that
you're
was
talking
with
40 attacks off a charge.
yeah, well, that's at strength 6. And
Yeah.
if my demon prince hadn't been gimped, I could have bumped that up to strength 8.
Yeah.
By just throwing death hex on them. Not death hex, diabolic strength, I think it is.
I'm just looking at their data cards. Because I don't think.
Or is that only Legion? No,
What's that?
they still count as Legion. Oh, where's the book? I will check. I have Book. Now I just gotta find
Uh,
the psychic powers. Rules, marks of chaos, relics.
while we're on the subject, marks in this book, the marks have been absolutely fantastic. It's made it interesting.
Yeah, so it's Legion Infantry or Legion Chaos Spawn,
Yep.
and while your specialty Marines, your Berserkers, Rubrics, Plague Marines, and Noise Marines, they don't benefit from your Legion trait, but they still have your Legion's keyword, so they would still be
Yes.
able to get hit with stuff like Diabolic Strength.
Yeah.
To bring your Corn Berserkers up to Strength 7, and then if they charge,
Stretch
Strength
the
8,
spells. Yeah.
which 40 Strength 8 attacks.
Yeah, that's oof.
Sure, they're only 1 damage, but it's a lot of attacks.
I don't know. That's yeah. And when you're talking strength 8 going into basically anything that's infantry, that's pretty heavy.
I mean, I probably wouldn't worry about Diabolic Strength if I was fighting like Plague Marines because it wouldn't change the maths at all.
Yeah. But still, like I'd be the kind of guy that would go and do it to elves. I'd been T3 to start with, and yes, of course I'm going to go home at strength 8.
You don't need to go at Strength 8, though. You can just take your standard Strength 6 on the charge, and you're still winning them on 2s.
Yeah, but it's me, and like I would do it just because I can say then I've done it. It's
just to troll them.
yeah.
And I mean, Corn Berserkers aren't expensive either. They're 22 points a pop, which I mean, not the cheapest Marines, but like
For what they do, though.
that's the price of a Grey Knight strike squad.
Hmm.
I mean, sure, you're not a psyker, but you get twice as many attacks almost.
Well, it's funny you say that because they are specifically not a psyker.
They are definitely not a psyker.
Of all the people.
So I mean, look, I think I need to get another 2 of them to fill that Rhino out for a squad of 10. Although squad of 8, Corn really likes the number 8.
Of course. That's probably why it worked.
That is almost certainly why it worked. I mean, they died the next turn when he came back at them with 2 other units of Choppy Boys.
Which, of course.
So of course they died, but then they
So
were then they were dead and out of the way, and I could just be like, open fire with the demolisher cannons, I suppose.
Oh well, you've twisted my arm.
I'll have to fire these demolisher cannons that are just on the other side of this river of lava.
Oh dearest.
Although I'm not the one thing I'm not sure about, and where I probably could have saved quite a few points, was the Vindicator Sea Shields, or whatever they're called. Because I was expecting the Vindicators to be targeted. They were not.
There's honestly not a great deal other than like the exocrine and stuff like that he really would have gone whole
Well,
hog into tanks.
he didn't take an exocrine.
Oh. Well,
No,
there you go. There probably wasn't actually a lot in the list to be running in a tank.
there was a few venom cannons scattered here and there, but
Yeah, but he would have been more likely to throw them into like heavy infantry.
yeah,
Especially, well, specifically with how Reese plays.
he felt the need to fire at my Demon Prince and wipe
Yeah.
that out turn 1. But then, I mean, come turn 2, just as the Corn Berserkers were jumping out to run forward and chop some boys up, the Demolisher cannons turned around and opened fire on the Flyrant.
Oh.
And the Flyrant had a bad time. Because, I mean, the Demolisher Cannon is so good now. It's, because the big complaint I had with it last codex was the D6 shots was just too random. It's the same issue I had with
Swingy. Yep.
It's the exact same issue I had with the Doomsday arc, and why
Yep.
I went to Locust Heavy Destroyers as my anti-tank stuff.
That was not your problem with the Doomsday arc.
Look, that was one of the problems.
The thing is notorious.
I would always roll a 1. But
Always.
with D3 plus 3 shots, I'm getting a minimum of 4 shots. throw in a warp smith in between the two.
Yep.
You give him the demon smith warlord trait,
Yep.
so he gets a built-in buff to +1 to hit with so select a tank and it's +1 to hit.
Yep.
Warlord trait gives him a second one, so both of the Vindicators are hitting on 2s.
Which is horrible.
And I mean, even if you get like go and hide in trees to try to get -1 to hit, not going to help because Iron Warriors ignore that shit.
Yeah. And see, it's this kind of stuff though that kind of annoyed me. Not that there was a massive change to it, but the Seder for light for Harlequins. Everybody was complaining because if you're outside of 12, it's instantly 1 to 3 hits fail.
Mm.
And that, like, don't get me wrong, it was great. Like, I absolutely loved it. Plus, I'm a Harlequin player, so of course I was going
Of
to love it.
course you're gonna love that.
Anything that makes it slightly more durable. But all the people that I saw online complaining about it, how it's unfair, it's it's way too good of a trait to have army wide, and all the rest of the shit that they were coming up with. It's just because they hadn't actually looked into any combos how to do it. It's like they were expecting their existing list to still be able to completely and utterly wipe a brand spanking new codex.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the first time you fight a new codex, you're probably going to lose
Yeah, there is a massive chance.
because while sure your opponent probably doesn't know what they're doing with it, they'll have a rough idea of what they want to do with it.
Exactly.
Whereas this is the first time you've ever fought it, you have no idea what they're going to do. You can't anticipate any of their moves,
Yep.
and you can use that against your opponent. If they don't know what you're going to do, you don't have to do anything that's kind of weird. You can just, like what I did, just move forward and blast crap, and you
Yeah.
just kind of had to stand there because never dealt with that sort of thing before and didn't have a solution
Yep.
to it.
And that's the thing. It will always take a few games to get used to something. Like, I haven't heard of one person playing against a new army or a faction that they've never played, or even a player they haven't played before.
Mm.
And so, about halfway through, I got the hang of it. Probably not. There's a lot of combos that you don't pick up on. Like, the Chaos book's been out for however long now, and
It's
we've
like a
had
month now,
leaks and
isn't it?
sneak peeks. Yeah, and like it was literally a couple of days ago that I found this whole Terminator thing.
Yeah, look,
Like,
I'm
and
gonna have to
I've
try
been
that.
perusing that book a lot. It's to be fair, I've been trying to make Night Lords work. Not that they don't work, but their warlord trait, not warlord trait, sorry, legion trait is just very average. Like,
Mm.
relying on leadership to kind of scare things away. Mate, look at what we play on a weekly basis. Like, we've got bananas, so leadership of 10 or more.
11.
Absolutely useless. Yeah, like, when am I going to get them down to a leadership 5? I
Never.
have to stack an entire army on one unit, which I have thought about doing.
Look, it is a
And
lot of
then,
fun
yeah,
to just fire
I
your
think things
entire
like
army at
Necron.
one unit. I mean, Necrons are all leadership 10. Even
Yep.
Chaos Space Marines, leadership 9.
Tyranids, as long as they're in Synapse or Symbiote range or whatever the
Yeah,
S
Synapse.
sound is. Synapse, yep.
Yeah, it doesn't matter there.
That's what I'm saying though. Like, it gets very difficult.
Well,
So,
Night
like,
Lord's whole thing is that they are scary.
terror. Yeah.
But
But see, the
unfortunately,
worst part.
leadership in this edition of this game, it's just
Yep.
it's an aggressively meh mechanic.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
was a great idea, but then they started putting things like 10 and 11.
well, even if you fail a leadership test, if you're above half strength,
Yes.
what's the worst that happens? You lose 1 or 2 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, compare that
Well, like,
to just ignoring cover, full stop.
Yeah, exactly. Like hell, every other legion in the book has a usable or a somewhat handy legion trait. Some may not be the absolute best, but by far, Nightwords is the worst in
Look,
the
I
book.
put as far as Legion traits are concerned, I put Night Lords kind of down here. Most of them are here, and Iron Warriors are up about here.
Look, that's pretty fair. Like Iron Warriors they're very good this edition.
Mm.
And that was with a 0-day FAQ.
Was there?
Yeah,
What was
they're
in the
they're
FAQ? I
Legion
must have
trait.
missed that one.
Their Legion trait. They changed it the day. It was either the day before. I think it was the day it came out, but for Australia, it was technically the day before.
Okay, I must have missed that one. Maybe I was playing it wrong yesterday then.
It might have been the day before us. You know, the Legion trait is can't reroll wounds against it, and there's no they don't gain the benefit of light cover.
Oh, does it only apply to light cover now?
Yeah, it's only light cover.
Okay. Okay, well that doesn't actually change anything in the game we played then, because
Yeah.
light cover was the only thing I really needed to ignore.
But that would be very handy against your Grey Knights when they're
Yes.
always walking around in fucking light cover.
Yes. Although I should have been -1 to hit then, because that's dent cover that I should not have been ignoring.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. It happens.
This is why day 1 or day 0 FAQs is not good.
This is why GW really should have playtesting outside of the meta circles.
That too.
That annoys me to a no end. Because they miss these ridiculous what they should have, like definitely, the meta and the competitive GT guys, look, 100% they should have some kind of representatives to be testing. But the ones that I really want to play test the books are the idiots like me and 90% of
You
people on
sure there's
Reddit.
an FAQ for it?
Pretty sure.
Because I'm looking at Warhammer Community right now and I'm not seeing it.
Came out and some. Oh, the data slate.
Oh, was it in the data slate?
Yeah.
Right, I'm looking in the wrong spot. That should be under downloads, I believe.
So the original
The
Warlord.
Kratos data slate? Or the balance data slate? Let's look at the Kratos one. Nope, that's
So
just for Kratos. Don't worry, that's for something else. Let's look at the balance data slate.
Yeah, so the original one was no benefits of cover and ignore AP 1 and 2. But now it's you can't re-roll wounds against the unit and they don't get benefits of light cover.
That's not what this data slate's. This it says change the second bullet point of Iron Within, Iron Without, Legion trait to read each time an attack is made against a unit with this trait, the attack's wound roll cannot be re-rolled. Nothing about
So it is all.
Nothing about light cover.
Then Battle Scribe has done us wrong.
Where are you?
They must be.
Are you just reading that from Battle Scribe?
Well, look, I read it in the original slate, and then I go off Battle Scribe a lot because everything's in one spot, unless I know specifically that it's wrong, and look in the book, or I remember it because it's specifically wrong.
I mean, this is the data slate that was uploaded to Warhammer Community on the 23rd of last month.
Which is, that's about when the Chaos book came out.
And it just says change it to be the attack's wound roll cannot be reroll. I thought it already said that. What does it say in print? Let's have a look.
In print, it's worse than AP 1 and 2.
So it is by 1. Whereas this just says the wound roll can't be rerolled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So look, it is benefits of cover. So it's all cover.
Which is the good part of that rule, in my opinion.
Look, that makes it even better because when Reese and I were talking about it, he was like, "Oh, so I can still hide in dense cover and and heavy cover, and I was looking. It's like, yeah, no, it says light cover specifically.
I mean, if oh look, there's another thing here that says content validity update. Let's see. That's nothing. That just tells you which supplements are valid still. That's nothing. And yeah, the last FAQ for Chaos Space Marines was put up here 13 months ago.
Oh, okay.
I mean, there it is, 2nd of the 6th, 2021.
Hmm.
So the data slate is the most recent thing talking about Chaos Space Marines, and as far as that trait's concerned, it only says change the second bullet point to say that the wound rolls can't be re-rolled.
Well, I will be remembering this.
So yeah, it's all benefits of cover it ignores.
Excellent.
Which, I mean, let's be honest,
Ooh.
that's the good part of that rule.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. I thought it was great when I thought it was specifically for light cover, but now doing all of them.
So yeah,
That's
no. So I did not cheat yesterday without knowing it.
it happens. Sometimes you mishear something, you misread something. There's been a couple of times, actually one was specifically against Reese, because I had something in my Elves army that was ignoring hit roll modifiers.
Yeah.
Or it was getting plus. It was something like that. It's Elves. There's tricks everywhere.
They are very tricksy.
Oh, they're fantastic. And he had a -1 to hit, and I was still, rolling to hit on 3s. And he's like, "Is that what they hit at normally?" I'm just like, "Yeah." It didn't even cross my mind until afterwards. Not that it would have made a difference. That was still one of the Shuriken heavier lists that just kind of tore apart things.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, look. To be fair, even if there was some things that I got wrong and may have cheated a little bit on without realizing, I'm not aware of any at this point. I also, the first 2 turns of that game, which finished midway through turn 3, when Reese decided that there was no point in continuing to play.
To be fair, he said I concede the second he walked in.
This is also true. I forgot that Armor of Contempt was a thing.
Literally the rule that we've been playing with the longest.
Look, I've always associated with Grey Knights. There's a strong association with it because I was playing them when it came out, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool for me. And Thousand Suns because I was fighting them a lot with it.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 armies that when I see them, I'm like, oh, of course, Armor of Contempt. But I hadn't made that connection with Chaos Space Marines, like that are not Thousand Suns.
Oh,
so I just forgot it was a thing.
To be fair, like Zach and I talk about it fairly often, to be honest. I always say it needs something, it needs some kind of balancing. Like if it's worse than the AP, you can't stack it with a light cover or something like that, because it's really just taken the wind out of most all Xenos players.
It really is.
Like even with that Shuriken list, I can do very, very minimal when we work it out on paper now.
Oh,
like that -1 +1 to save.
I mean, look, let's go and I've got the thing here. Let's simulate that. Because I did make modifications to this specifically to do that. So how many shots do you want to fire?
Look, let's go real world application.
Yep.
And we'll go 40.
Here, look,
So that's a single unit of Guardian.
Should probably share my screen so you can see. Screen, this one. Bring it up. So 40 shots, you say?
Yep.
What are they hitting on?
3s.
3, not 2s, 3s. Rerolls.
Look, I can give to hit and wounds.
Let's do that. That sounds fun. Is it all or just ones?
It's all.
All.
So Doom and Guided changed.
Yes. Yep. Additional hits on a 6.
No.
Auto wound on a 6, wasn't it?
Yep.
So auto wound on a 6.
6s also become AP3.
Yeah, I'll get to that.
Yep. In due course.
Oh wait,
sir.
no, it's this one I need to put the 6 in. That stays at a 7 because it counts as a 6 to wound, doesn't it?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes.
They're strength 4, aren't they?
Yep.
So let's go into Plague Marines, make this tough for them. AP?
Standard is 1.
And we're re-rolling the failed wounds, aren't we? So
Yep.
AP nothing because AOC.
Yep.
Save of Plague Marine is 3+.
Yep.
No invuln save. And it's a 6 to score extra AP, isn't it?
Yes.
And it becomes -3, so just -2.
Yep.
And then they are 1 damage apiece with no, actually, Plague Marines, so they are -1 damage. But that won't matter here because it's only damage 1. So those 40 shots do 11.5.
Yeah. And that's with full hits and wound rerolls.
That's, you know,
Half a unit.
half a unit. But I mean, with as far as the way AOC changes that, all it changes is from a -1 to a 0. So let's say no AOC and see how you do 2 wounds better with
In
no
saying that, their save should be 2+ because if they're in light cover,
we're not putting
it's
it in
this.
light cover.
It's the stacking that really gets us.
True. So that's out of light cover with no AOC. So if we throw AOC and throw them in light cover, brings it down to 7, possibly 8.
Which is a drop.
Well,
We
I
were
mean,
talking what
that's
2
in light cover.
wins?
Just going
Yeah.
with comparing the difference of AOC. Yeah, so it drops 2 wounds, and then the light cover drops 2 wounds again.
Yeah. It's the stack that gets it.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah. So either or. So I mean, I suppose they could change it to say you get armor of contempt unless you getting benefits of cover.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a way that they could change it to make it less.
I reckon just add to it, you don't receive the benefits of light cover.
Ooh. No,
Because light cover is only
I
it's only
don't
a
like
cover trait.
I don't like that and the reason I don't like that is because that makes Tide of Shadows completely pointless.
Yeah, but there's quite a few rules kind of smattered across everywhere with reducing AP or +1 to save that it doesn't work with. Or
Yeah,
shields instantly was one.
but when they're added across the place, I don't think it's a big of a deal as when it's an army-wide thing. Like if it's particular units, say it was that you could take AOC as a upgrade on 3 units for your army, and that was it.
Yeah. Look, I'd be happy if AOC was only eligible for like core infantry. Something like that would make it interesting.
That would still make
And
Grey Knights. That would not change Grey Knights at all.
yeah, Grey Knight specifically, they're fine. But I don't think it on vehicles and stuff like that, it gets a bit.
Or I mean, I stopped taking Sanctuary to put on my Land Raider because of it. Because
Exactly.
in order for Sanctuary to even come into effect with Armor of Contempt, you had to have like, what was it? So 2 up armor to start with. So
Yep.
you'd need at least 3, 4, 5. So you need at least AP -3 for that to matter. Before AOC. With AOC, you need at least AP -4. And at least in our local meta, there's not a lot of AP -4 running around until I get
Actually,
Warriors with all of the Vindicators.
I was about to say until my chosen with the Mark of Zinj, putting him on plasmas. Plasma pistols and plasma combis have been going up to AP4.
That's true.
Mm.
But then, I mean, can't do it to a Land Raider because it's
Yeah.
not a Psyker, so it can't get Tide of Shadows. But like Terminators are a really good example, especially if you go with Paladins and you take Armored Resilience on them.
Especially if you have 30 of them in your list.
Before their invulnerable save even comes into effect, you need like AP -7
Yeah.
with AOC because they've got a 2 upper armor save to start with. They can get Tide of Shadows, puts them in light cover, bringing them to a 1+ save. AOC functionally brings them to a 0+ save once you factor in AP.
Yep.
And then Armored Resilience brings them to a -1+ save, which
Yep.
means you need to get them up to an armor save of 6 before that invulnerable save becomes the 5+ invuln they come with becomes meaningful at all. So let's see, -1, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need AP 6. AP 6. Actually, no, you'd need AP 7 because you need to get it to 6, not just to 5, to 6. Yeah, so you need AP -7 before you force them to have to use that invuln save.
Which is not happening.
Which I can't think of anything with that. I mean, even freaking Titan weapons, the highest AP is 5.
Yeah.
The highest AP I know of, Necrons have one weapon that does it. The relic.
That arrow.
Yeah, the relic arrow goes to AP -6, but it's one shot for the game.
Yes.
And even that.
And it never hit.
And it never hits. And even that, it's only taking them to a 5 up.
Yeah.
Although to be
That's
fair,
what I said, like
even without AOC, you'd need AP -6 to get the 5 up to be used.
That's what I'm saying though. Like if you make it not stackable with light cover.
I don't think it would change it that much because in that scenario, take AOC away, and you're talking about a 0+ save still with the Terminator armor plus light cover plus armored resilience.
It's horrible. It's although to be fair, I think I'd still rather try and shoot them off the board instead of all the bloody Terminators. The Iron Warrior Terminators.
Yeah, look, that's a fair point. And I'm going to have to read all of those rules because I'm fairly confident you've probably read them wrong or just stopped reading.
No. This isn't like every other day, no.
What was that one that you just stopped reading?
It was something.
I think it was the Master. It was the Lord Discordant. Where he rolls a d6 for every wound. Yes. And each roll of a 6, he deals a mortal wound. And Jill's like, oh, I'm going to deal 13 mortal wounds with him. I'm like, no, you're not. It's capped at 6. And everyone's like, no, Jono, you're wrong. And I'm just like, screenshot? It says, right the next line down.
Here's the thing, though. Is it capped at 6 for what you can roll? Or is it capped at 6 of what you can take?
It's capped at 6 of what you can actually score.
Yeah, so I can roll up to say 13
you would roll the 13 dice, but you're not.
But you could only actually cop 6 mortal wounds.
Yeah, you're not scoring 13 mortal wounds just because you roll lucky.
Look, in real life, I would love.
It's not even on the next line down. It is on that line still.
It doesn't matter what line it's on if I stop reading.
It's literally, you just read it up to unit suffers 1 mortal wound.
Look,
There's not a full stop there. There's no full stop.
There's not a full stop, isn't there?
No, it's then open brackets to a maximum
there you go. Brackets.
Of 6.
Yep, don't care. Brackets for me, that's the end of a sentence. That's a full stop.
And I mean, when you do the maths on it, on average, you're dealing 2 to maybe 3 mortal wounds to my Nemesis Dread Knight. Of those, I'm then ignoring one of them.
Yeah, but then we get to do like the fights and the choppy things with
Yeah,
a Disco Lord.
and then I charge in and I cut you.
No, that's me charging you.
Okay, you charge me, you don't kill me, and then I cut you.
That's more like it.
Because big baby carrier with big sword.
I can't. Well, I can believe I've seen GW have done some ridiculous stuff that they've run with, but that baby carrier that's really carried on, hasn't it?
Yes.
So we've got the Nemesis suits. We've got the Contemptor Dreads. Is it, or is it the other one? There's something that's basically an open face dread suit.
The Primaris Scout Walker thing?
I think so. I can't remember what it's called. I don't play Space Marines.
Does anyone really play? Look.
Well, since Armor of Contempt, there's been a few more Space Marine players.
There are a few more Space Marine players here. Look, we'll go onto here. We'll go armies. No, Space Marines. Here we go. Just general.
It's in the Invictus Warsuit.
General. Let's see. Gee, there's eight Eradicators. I hate them. A whole squad of freaking melter things. Nice. I hate that.
What about Hellblasters? There's literally a unit designed to take massive plasmas.
Look, I'm okay with that. It's melters I'm not okay with.
That's what I will say. I really miss my fusion boats.
The Primaris Invicta Tactical Warsuit. That is
a variation of a baby carrier.
Look, it looks less like a baby carrier than a Dread Knight.
But then we have the Paragon Warsuits and Morgan Val.
True.
Same thing again.
The Paragon Warsuits look very baby carrier-like.
Yeah. I must admit, though, I like the look of them a lot more. I think it's because they're a little slender.
Look, I think the main reason I think the Dread Knights cap so much crap for looking like a baby carrier is, first of all, because they do. But also the pose that they come in is very difficult to change, and they're just standing there. And it just, the Terminator jutting off the front looks like they sculpted up this really nice suit, and they're like, oh, we got to put a Terminator in this thing somewhere. Where do we put it? Just throw it against the front and throw like a harness around over the front. It'll be fine.
He should not have an armor save from that.
Well, he's still wearing Terminator armor, to be fair.
But see, here's the thing, I know it gets so much more difficult to do, and we're talking extra keywords and all the rest of it. But if you've got some kind of open face, or like the discussion we were having the other day, for some reason, if a model is not wearing its helmet.
Yes, everything.
A sniper should have a special rule of headshot.
Look, I just think that you should put a helmet on your miniature. There's only one unit. Okay, I can think of a couple of units actually, but there is only one Space Marine unit that I can think of that should not be wearing a helmet, and that is a Khorne Berserker, because they're fucking insane.
And they just don't care. They're not.
And they just don't care.
No, because Khorne cares not.
Your Primaris lieutenants should be wearing a helmet.
They should. And we're talking now, you can't tell me that in the 41st millennium that they still don't have, they've been issued. This is war gear. This is protection that has been issued, presumably by the Emperor, at least in his name. There would have to be some kind of repercussions of you've lost your helmet's been destroyed in battle. That's something along the lines. I know from a few guys that I know they've been in the Army, the Navy. If something's happened to their uniform, they get their ass chewed out. There is no way that went away in the grimdark future.
Exactly, especially in the Imperial Guard, where their equipment is worth more than their life is.
Of course it is.
So
that's
put helmets on your models. Come on, guys.
conscripts are the only thing that I would allow not to have helmets.
What about orcs?
Yeah, but orcs can believe they have a helmet on. That's okay.
This is true. They just have to believe it, and it's true.
I love that. Magical. They're just magical mushrooms.
They really are. It's fantastic.
That is their law. They are a magic mushroom.
Fun. I do enjoy
And now
orcs.
we've been demonetized because we're talking about magic mushrooms.
No, we're after the 3-minute mark. We're fine.
Oh, excellent. But some of the lore by itself is some of it's fantastic.
Oh, it really is. I was watching one of the episodes of Hammer and Bolter the other day, with the orcs talking about Commissar Yarrick.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic.
They encapsulated orc lifestyle very, very well.
Yes. That is exactly how it works. You need to get the biggest and baddest enemy. If you don't have a big bad enemy, you're not a true orc.
And so like Hammer and Bolter, I know some people have been complaining about the animation style.
I think it's fine.
Because we are at the age where we remember what cartoons used to be. This is kind of subconsciously dug into nostalgia for us. Like, I think they've done it really well.
Oh, look, 2D animation's fine.
Yeah. I also watch a lot of anime. Like, this is nothing. Like, you go back and watch like old Berserk or something stupid. Go back and watch the first 2 seasons of The Simpsons.
Actually, I've done that. They are very hand drawn.
Very. Go back and watch the first season of South Park, where it's still stop animation for every frame.
Oh, jeez, I would hate to have to shoot that.
Oh, I think that Matt and Trey Parker, they were saying that it took, I can't remember how long, but it was a long time to get an episode out. And they used to pause on movies and bits and pieces to try and get what shape the mouth was for what particular syllable, and then they try and recreate that in the frames.
It's a lot of effort.
They went a long way, and to be fair, like they're multi-millionaires now. They deserve it from the work that they put in beforehand.
Look, of the stuff I've watched on Warhammer Plus so far, I'd have to say that I probably enjoyed the Citadel Masterclass the most because I like picking up new skills. So that's fun. To be fair, most of that stuff I could probably find on YouTube if I searched for it.
With Duncan Rhodes?
Yeah. But having it just there is convenient and not having to go looking for it, I suppose, is nice.
Also, being split up into a kind of like episodic kind of nature, it is nice just to kind of browse through and think, oh, that's something I haven't overly employed in my painting. Let's have a look at that. No, look, the content's great. It's just few and far between.
I watched the Astartes, which I hadn't watched it before. And honestly, the animation's great, but didn't enjoy it.
The thing is,
there was a lack of story there.
Yes.
Like a whole bunch of things happened, but nothing happened.
The thing with the Astartes, though, is you have to remember, like, a lot of the hype comes from that's completely fan made. Like everything that's available on Warhammer, that was out years ago on YouTube. And for completely man-made, it's absolutely brilliant. And
it's
everybody.
Don't get me wrong, the animation is really good.
Oh, it's amazing.
I just would have liked an actual story to be told, and that honestly, I don't think it could have ever lived up to the hype.
Honestly, no. Like Reddit, especially, has kind of taken that to the next level. Like it definitely has massive, massive potential. Especially if GW kind of backs off hands-on wise and just gives them a budget to to be able to let the guys just kind of go for it, create their story, how they want to pose and direct it, all that kind of thing.
Well, look,
It,
Angels of Death, which I watched
yes,
after watching a studies, that was really good. That had an
that was
engaging
a
story.
story.
It
Yeah.
was it was a little bit off-putting at first, having the basically a monochromatic or dual chromatic. I mean, there was
See, I
grayscale
was
and then red was the only colors, which I
I
thought
was
was
into that because I liked Sin City.
oh look, it was really cool. It was just at first I was just like, because my phone has a thing where after a certain time at night, if it's plugged into the charger, it goes in, the screen turns to black and white.
Yeah.
I was like, what, has someone played with my settings? What's going on?
It just red out of nowhere.
And then just throws some red up on the screen out of nowhere. But that was it was a compelling story. The
Yeah.
animation was crisp. I mean,
Characters were likable, even though they were Marines.
look, there was character development. They
Yeah.
were the time jump midway through the show was a little bit like, what's going on?
That was jarring.
That was a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
But once you got past that, oh, okay, we've jumped back in time. We're now, this episode is all about how we got to there. And then it jumped back to where you were in the main story. I think
Yeah.
it would have been less jarring if they put that episode at the beginning, but they probably could have also left it out and that would have been fine.
Yeah. The other thing, I think they could have left it where it was, but maybe explained it a little better instead of literally just jumping straight to it and trying to figure out where the fuck you are up to in the story. That was the big thing for me, like, because there was no change in animation, there was no character directive of this is what's happening kind of now, or this is what happened then. It literally just went straight into, it was like, next scene.
Yeah, you
And like,
couldn't.
what is this?
You got thrown out of the immersion for a moment.
Yeah. I legitimately 5 or 10 minutes in paused it, went out of it to make sure I hadn't skipped an episode. Like, it was one of those kind of things, which that's really annoying.
Wasn't look, apart from that one episode, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I would like to see more and longer episodes.
Oh no, I think they were like what, about 20 minutes each?
Yeah,
That's fine.
yeah, I'd still like more. I think there was a fair bit more to explore without just kind of filler. I didn't find it to be a very filler show. I thought everything was mostly important.
Yeah, it was just showing you what was important. But I
Yeah.
think that's fine.
Yeah. I think, yeah, you're probably right though. With the jumping back in time, that's probably what threw me out more.
That's the only real criticism that I have of it.
Yeah.
Apart from that, the story was good. The animation was solid. It was engaging. There was no parts where you were just like, just get to the point.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great show.
It was really good. And Hammer and Bolter, still working through that. That's pretty good. I mean, it's $95 Australian a year for the service.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it alone is worth the $95 a year, but given that a Vindicare Assassin itself, because obviously I want the Vindicare Assassin because it looks cool. A Vindicare Assassin on its own is, I think, $60 just for the normal one.
Something like that. You know what does really annoy me though? The promo they've got on at the moment of sign up now and you can skip your wait time, and August they're just open.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to be passed on to people that have been subscribed since day one or
I'm fairly
early on.
sure it is. I have a feeling that beginning of September they're just going, or beginning of August, sorry, they're just going to set all of those timers to 0.
I hope so, because mine's still saying October, and I will be very annoyed.
Well, mine is saying It probably helps if I sign in.
Sign in.
I don't know if I'm signed in or not. Where do I go? My account.
Are you going to buy the Orc as well, or just get the free one?
Just get the free one.
I'm thinking about purchasing the Orc.
Here we go. It helps if you sign into your account. I'm fairly sure that my timer says like the midway through next year or something.
Yeah, well, you only signed up somewhat recently, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah, so mine says claim yours from the 12th of the 7th, 2023. Yeah. So I'm fairly sure that they'll just set it to
August.
I
hope so. Like, don't get me wrong, when I first signed up, I knew what I was signing up for, and the 12-month wait wasn't a big deal, but letting people kind of queue jump, that'd be annoying.
Yeah, well, I think I mean, mine's saying, 12 months after I signed up is when it'll be available from. So I reckon there's a very good chance that they'll just set all those timers to 0.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Because I've made no secret of that. The only reason I got Warhammer Plus was for the model. I looked at it as I was paying about $100 for this model. There was a built to order. Some build to orders take 6 months plus, so that wasn't a big deal to me. And look, I don't play Imperial armies, so this thing is just to probably convert. To be completely honest, I don't know what into, but it'll be something.
Yeah, well,
I need more obliterators, but
a standard Vindicare assassin is $60.
Yeah.
So $95. So you're paying $35 a year for the service itself. If it was the price of a standard Vindicare, which given that it has a whole bunch of other stuff, it's more than that. And if you actually go and look at its page when you're not signed into an account, it says $74. So do the maths of 95 and 74, do a subtraction there, and that's how much the streaming service that's how much of the streaming service you're actually paying for.
Yeah. And look, I'd be happy to pay $20 a year. $21 a year for that.
Well, $21 a year for a streaming service is not bad.
But to be quite fair, once I get that model, if Warhammer Plus hasn't really picked up in content or at least announced show releases and all the kind of thing, I will most probably cancel it.
Well, look, for me, it probably depends on what next year's model is.
That too. But they'll have another thing if you sign up, you can go back into the wait.
Maybe. Although, to be fair, I put in a 12-month subscription that would end about that time anyway. So.
Yeah. And look, I'm an adult. Most adults have multiple bank cards and multiple email accounts. Worst case, I will sign up with another one.
True. But I mean, look, that Vindicare assassin is pretty cool.
Oh, it's a great sculpt.
I mean, I already have a Vindicare assassin.
They could make Be'lakor and that.
They could, but they made Angron, and you hate it.
I don't know. Grabbing some true line of sight. Oh, I hate it so much. I hate it so much that I physically laughed when I saw today on Spiky Bits that the SCL is already out and available when Angron is not.
Oh, that's fantastic. Also, I would not want to print that model.
God only knows. I think it's already spliced into sections and comes, like the SCL comes with supports.
Let's see.
How good the supports are?
There's the Spiky Bits. Yeah, I think it's on Colts 3D.
Good chance.
Look, there's some World Eater shoulder pads. Those are cool. I'm not seeing the Angron model on here. Look, I'm going to break my rule and actually go to Spiky Bits website, even though I don't want to. Do they have a link to it?
I honestly don't remember. Probably not being Spiky Bits. Because they still like their association with GW.
not seeing a link to it here. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing a link on the Spiky Bits page to the actual model itself. I mean, it's a
might have
cool
to go
looking sculpt, but it very much looks like it's all in one piece. I may be wrong, since I don't have the actual file to go look at. I find it really funny though here that there's a comment in this article saying they thought they'd changed enough to make it their own, but they were still hit with a GW copyright strike. And I'm looking at it, standing right next to the Warhammer community post, and it's like, that's not changed at all. That's almost exactly the same. You repositioned the tail and changed the angle his wrist is at.
And there is a slightly different tear pattern in the wings.
And a slightly different tear. That's
it.
You have clearly
The face is
copied
almost
that.
identical, if not completely identical.
I mean, that is just blatant copyright infringement.
Yeah. Oh, it's some of them. I don't get me wrong. The GW prices leave a lot to be desired, but we play a premium game and pay for premium products for it.
Oh, look, there's a couple of ways you can look at it. If you look at it from the perspective of all you're getting is a lump of plastic, not worth it.
No.
But you got to look at all of the other effort that's gone into developing that lump of plastic.
Yeah.
And looking at it like that, I mean, if you go and just sculpt something and distribute it to people, and especially if you charge for it when you have just blatantly knocked off of someone else's hard work, even if you've gone and sculpted it yourself, you've just blatantly knocked off someone else's work, that's theft.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
See, here's the thing. I liken it to, imagine you go out and hand draw or animate a Mickey Mouse cartoon and you release it trying to get money for it. You would deserve Disney knocking at your door to tell you that's not on. It is the exact same argument.
I mean, if you go and sculpt something yourself, and if you're not making profit from it, and it's if and it's slightly different, I can get that. Especially if the company that made it does not sell it anymore.
That I'm a little bit more on board for, because you're not actually taking revenue from the business. If it's a very specific model or sculpt or something, like the old Night Lord pack, for example, you just cannot buy them from GW.
Yeah. Or if,
and that's their own fault. They're not making revenue from Night Lords.
Yeah. Or if it's like one part of a model, and the only way you can get that particular model is through like, for example, anything in Finecast. Finecast,
if it's Finecast, you have my blessings.
It's the worst material ever, and it's not that I don't want to just go and buy that model. It's I don't want to deal with Finecast.
Yeah.
They're adding the Finecast into the equation. It makes the product fundamentally bad. Hence why. Look, I'm still a bit up in the air about whether it was ethical for me to sculpt Drago's shield and then use the Terminator from the Games Workshop Terminator kit and just add the shield to it. But I mean, to be fair, I made it for my own personal use, and I'm not selling it, so that's kind of different. But even then, it would have still been a lot cheaper for me to just go buy that Drago model, because it took me like a good 8 hours to sculpt that shield.
And look, and if you do not have a background in sculpting or any kind of digital art, and you have to pay somebody to do that, it's still going to be cheaper to go and get this model
Well,
or a recast.
that's the other part of the equation.
Yeah.
I mean, resin's not free.
Nope.
The wear that you do on your machine printing it, I'm not actually convinced that 3D printing models is cheaper than buying GW kits.
No. By the time you factor in a lot, like again, I suppose it all also depends on kind of what you're printing and modeling. But yeah, no, it's like, say for example, if you wanted to print your own manta,
That's a lot of resin.
it's a lot of resin, and you have the outlay for the machine itself, and of course, you're washing and curing and everything else that goes into it, plus your resin.
Plus, then you're going to have some failed prints printing that. You're not going to print every part of that without a single
Undoubtedly.
failed print. So you've got to factor in waste there. And if you have, say you have a bigger resin printer and you have a 10% failure rate and you got to print 20 or 30 parts for it, each part of those could be like 400 grams. So that's a good $25 just wasted straight there. And if you have that happen 3 or 4 times, there's $150 down the drain.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably still ends up coming out cheaper.
We're talking manta specifically. At least those parts will fit together out of the printer.
Look, actually, there's no guarantee of that, because depending on how good of a job the sculptor did, some of the parts might have been so thin that in the process of after they've printed, you have the risk of the print itself warping.
That's true.
In the curing process.
But mantas are notoriously shocking.
Look,
I have not seen a single video where, like, the fuselage alone, the wings, it's just like, especially watching 2 build processes from the start, one with Squigmar Miniatures and one with Nick from Play On Tabletop.
Yeah.
Going through, and they have encountered the exact same issues on both. I think Squigmar he actually gave a breakdown of, pretty sure it was him, how many hours he has spent trying to fix or reshape or those kind of things with a particular piece. Or, once he's done that, he's kind of mocked everything together and things haven't been aligned and still can't get aligned. Nick from Play On pointed out that his wings, no matter what he did,
just would not go on.
They didn't go on, and then when they did, they're not flush. There is a massive seam of filler between them. And he said, look, it looks great from back here. But when you get really close, you can see it, even through the paint job, after all the smoothing and everything else he's done. Honestly, it's not really good enough for a $2,000 model.
No, there's that. But I mean, if you were to go down the 3D printing route with it, it weighs what, 12.5 kilo?
Yeah, something like that. Comes in 2 whole boxes.
Yeah. So the resin that I use is $37 a bottle, and it's a 500 gram bottle. So for 12.5 kilos, that's 24, 25 bottles.
Yep.
Let's just round it up to 40 to make the maths easy. So you're talking $1,000 just in resin, and that's assuming you have 0 failed prints. And then you've got the cost of a machine. So if you're wanting to print at any kind of reasonable time, you're talking a bigger print. So you're talking $1,000 for the machine itself. So you've already would have been cheaper just to buy the model.
Yeah.
That's before you factor in any like failed prints that you're going to have with a model of that size. The number of pieces you're going to have at least 1 or 2 failed prints.
Yep.
And that's assuming you get the STL for free, which good luck finding a Manta STL for free. I think you'd struggle to find one that's not free, but if you're buying an STL, anything that's to that level of detail, you're talking, a bit of money for that as well.
Yeah. And especially, 'cause let's be honest now, Don't get me wrong, it's not hard to make any kind of blacklight cure, UV curing, little chamber box kind of thing. But that's more time and money.
Yep.
Like now you are also factoring in your own time. Like I know it can take a while to get stuff from Forge World, especially if they're out of order, out of stock. But there's a lot of time that's going into this now. And this is all pre-assembly, pre-paint. This is just getting the miniature itself.
Yep.
I think as far as Manta goes, we're probably backtracking a little bit. It might be just as cost effective to order an actual Manta instead of printing.
Yeah. And I mean that then goes and applies to a lot of other things. Like if you're talking about infantry, if you wanted to print 20 of the exact same dude in the same pose, then it could possibly be cheaper. But if you want unique sculpts, then Anyway, I think we'd better start wrapping up there, as we're about 42 minutes over where I wanted this to end. So make sure you subscribe, ding the bell, let us know what you think. Do you agree? Tell us, do you think that I'm wrong about 3D printing and that it's actually not more, it's genuinely cheaper than buying just Games Workshop stuff? And is it worth it? What's your experience? Let us know. Anyway, we will see you next time. Whenever.
Whenever, because that's what we do.